Jacob had grown used to the strange rhythm of his life. Days filled with silence, nights filled with her. Every night for 15 years he dreamed of the same alien girl. He didn't know how it began or why it never ended, but every time he closed his eyes, she was waiting for him in that glowing world that shimmered like liquid light. Her name was Lyraya. She was not human, not even close. Her skin had a faint silver glow. Her hair flowed like strands of starlight, and her eyes, those strange, soft eyes, shone like two moons drifting in the dark. She never aged, never changed. 15 years, and she looked the same as the first night she appeared in his dreams. At first, Jacob thought it was loneliness. Earth had gone through hard times, famine, pollution, wars that burned entire cities to dust. He had lost family, friends, and hope. When he first dreamed of Lyraya, he had been at his lowest, sitting alone in the ruins of his old home, trying to sleep through the hunger and pain. That was the night she came. He remembered it clearly. She stood under a sky filled with floating lights, looking at him with wonder. Her voice was soft, almost musical. "Can you hear me, human?" He had laughed. "Of course I can. This is a dream." But she shook her head, a smile curving her lips. "Not exactly. You called out and I heard you." He didn't understand what she meant. But in that first dream, she sat beside him on a glowing rock and told him stories about her world. Veltar, a place of eternal twilight where minds could touch without words. The way she spoke, the gentle way she smiled, it soothed something deep inside him. When he woke the next morning, he felt lighter, as if someone had taken a piece of his sadness away. The next night, she returned. And then the night after that. And the night after that. Before long, Jacob stopped questioning. His days were empty, but his nights were alive. Each time they met, Lyraya would show him new things. The crystal forests that sang when the wind passed through. The glowing lakes that reflected the sky. The great city built on floating platforms where beings of light drifted like spirits. And sometimes, when everything went quiet, she would take his hand and whisper things that made his chest ache. "You humans are strange," she once said. "You live such short lives, but you feel so much. Even in pain, you still hope." He looked at her and smiled faintly. Maybe that's all we have left. Over the years, Jacob tried to convince himself it wasn't real. Dreams couldn't be this consistent, this alive. But every time he tried to doubt, she would say something only she could know. Details from his day, his thoughts, his worries. Somehow she heard him even when he was awake. Sometimes she would vanish for weeks. Those were the worst times. Without her, his sleep was empty and cold. He would wake up gasping, reaching for a hand that wasn't there. And then one night, when he least expected it, she'd return with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she would whisper. "The distance makes it hard, but I can't stay away from you." He didn't ask what distance meant. He was too afraid of the answer. As years passed, Jacob aged, but Lyraya never changed. She was always radiant, always watching him like he was something precious. He didn't understand why she cared. He was just one lonely man on a broken planet, but she would always smile and say, "You don't see it, do you? The strength that keeps your heart alive, that's what drew me to you." And every night he would wake up with tears he couldn't explain. 15 years. 15 years of dreams that felt more real than the waking world. 15 years of talking, laughing, walking through alien landscapes with someone who wasn't supposed to exist. Sometimes Jacob wondered what would happen if the dream stopped. He didn't think he could survive it. The world outside his room was gray, empty, and cruel, but when he closed his eyes there was color, warmth, and light. There was Lyraya. He didn't know where she came from. He didn't know if she was real. But deep down in that quiet place inside him that still believed in miracles, Jacob was sure of one thing. He loved her. And that was enough to keep him dreaming. Jacob's life had become a quiet routine. He worked at a repair shop during the day, fixing old machines no one cared about anymore, and every night he came home early, not for rest, but for her. Sleep was his doorway, and Lyraya was always waiting beyond it. But one cold morning, everything changed. Jacob was sitting in the corner of his small apartment, sipping bitter coffee, when the news broadcast flickered across his dusty screen. The headline read, "Deep Space Array detects artificial signal from star system Epsilon 5. At first, he didn't pay much attention. Humanity had heard strange space noises before, pulsars, radio bursts, or cosmic interference. Nothing ever turned out to be real. But then the reporter's voice shifted, trembling slightly. The message seems rhythmic, repeating in intervals. Early translation shows possible linguistic structure. Then came the recording. A soft melodic hum filled the room, followed by a sequence of tones that almost sounded like a voice. Gentle, familiar. Jacob froze. His cup slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. The voice. He knew that voice. To the one who dreams under blue skies, your time has come. Wake, my human. His breath caught in his chest. It couldn't be. No, this was impossible. He replayed the message again and again, his fingers trembling. Every note, every sound carried the warmth he had heard thousands of times in his dreams. Lyraia. He stood up suddenly, heart racing. Lyraia? He whispered to the empty room. Is that you? No answer came. Only silence and the faint hum of his old refrigerator. But deep inside him, something stirred, like the world had shifted slightly out of balance. That night he fell asleep with the recording still playing beside him. And in the dream, Lyraia was waiting, but she looked different. Her glow was dimmer, her smile more fragile. You heard it, she said softly. Jacob's eyes widened. That was you, wasn't it? The message. You sent it. She nodded, tears shining like silver drops. It took everything I had. I reached through the stars, through your machine so they could hear me too. Now your people will come, he didn't understand. Come where? To the edge of my world, she whispered. To Veltar. Her hand brushed his cheek and her touch burned like starlight. You have been my bridge, Jacob. For 15 years I touched your dreams to reach your world, but now the path is open. They will find me soon. He tried to smile, but fear crept into his heart. What happens when they find you? Her gaze dropped to the glowing grass beneath them. My people will not be kind. They warned me never to reach beyond our sky. I disobeyed. For you, Lyraia, he whispered, voice cracking. Why would you risk everything? She looked up at him with eyes full of emotion that words could never describe. Because you were the only voice that ever answered me. The dream faded before he could speak again. When Jacob woke, he couldn't stop shaking. His mind raced between disbelief and wonder. He wasn't crazy. She was real. He went to work like nothing had happened, but he couldn't focus. The news channels were exploding with updates. Scientists arguing, politicians debating, religious leaders declaring prophecies. The alien signal was now confirmed to be intelligent, but none of them knew what Jacob knew. The voice wasn't some mysterious being or strange intelligence. It was her, and she had sent the message for him. Over the next few weeks, more data came in. The signal contained coordinates, real space coordinates to a system 15 light-years away. Governments formed research teams, private companies offered ships, and suddenly, humanity had a new goal: to find the source. Jacob watched it all unfold with a mix of pride and fear. Every night Lyraia appeared weaker, fading at the edges like a memory slipping away. They are coming, she said one night, her voice trembling, but I don't know what they'll do when they see me. Then I'll protect you, Jacob said. If they hurt you, I'll stop them. She smiled sadly. You can't fight what you don't understand. I can try. Her silver eyes softened. That's why I love your kind. You never stop trying. Then she kissed his forehead, and the dream shattered like glass. When he woke, the morning light spilled across his bed, but he felt colder than ever. For 15 years she had been his dream, but now she was something else, something real, fragile and in danger. Jacob looked at the sky through his window, the pale sunlight warming his face. Somewhere out there, beyond stars and silence, Lyraia was waiting, and this time he wouldn't just dream about her. He would find her. Jacob never wanted fame, but after the alien signal spread across every network, he couldn't stay invisible. The scientists came first, then the military, then people with expensive suits and questions they already knew the answers to. They all wanted to know why the message's voice matched his brainwave patterns. When they ran the tests, the results shocked everyone. Every time they played the alien signal, Jacob's mind reacted. His neurons fired in rhythm, like he was hearing a language no one else could understand. Dr. Alina Reyes, the lead neuroscientist, stared at the results in disbelief. You're connected to this entity somehow, she said softly. Almost like she's talking to me, Jacob finished. The room went quiet. Soon they transferred him to a high-security research facility in the desert, far from the public. The place was silent, filled with glass rooms and humming machines. Jacob didn't mind. The more he could focus, the easier it was to reach her. They called it Project Bridge, a mission to establish the first human-to-alien mind link. And Jacob was their only subject. At night, when the electrodes were attached to his head, he would close his eyes and drift into the dream world again. And she was always there, waiting, glowing softly, her face both joyful and sad. "They're studying you, aren't they?" she asked one night. Jacob nodded. "They're trying to understand how we're connected." Her silver eyes darkened. "They must not open the path completely. My people will see it as an invasion," he frowned. "Why would they think that?" "You reached out first?" "They fear what they don't know," she whispered. "On Veltar, emotion is forbidden. We share thought, not feeling. But when I touched your mind, I felt everything, your pain, your hope, your love. It changed me. It made me different." Jacob looked at her, his chest tightening. "Different how?" "Human," she said softly. That word made something inside him ache. Over the next few months, the scientists improved the neural link technology. They could now record fragments of Jacob's dream activity, faint shapes and sounds appearing on the monitors. To them, it was data. To Jacob, it was her world. One evening, Dr. Reyes approached him with cautious excitement. "Jacob, we think we can amplify the signal. If we synchronize your brainwaves with the source frequency, you might cross the connection consciously. Awake." He blinked. "You mean go there? For real?" She hesitated. "In a way, yes. It could kill you, but it might also open a door humanity has waited centuries to find." Jacob didn't even need to think. "Do it." Dr. Reyes stared at him like he was insane. "You don't even want to talk about it?" He shook his head. "I've been talking to her for 15 years. It's time I finally meet her." That night before the test, Jacob lay on the cold metal bed inside the chamber. The wires hummed. The air smelled like ozone. His heartbeat echoed in the silence. Then he felt it. Her presence, like soft light wrapping around his thoughts. "You shouldn't be doing this," Laraya's voice whispered in his mind. He smiled faintly. "I've waited too long to stop now. You'll die if you cross the link awake. Then I'll die seeing you." Her breath caught, and for a moment, even through the haze of distance, he felt her emotion ripple through the connection. "You humans," she whispered. "You always run toward the fire." "Maybe," he said softly. "But sometimes the fire is worth it." The machines began to hum louder. Jacob's body grew weightless. The scientists' voices faded into static. His pulse quickened, lights flashing behind his eyelids like stars collapsing. Then, silence. He opened his eyes and gasped. He was standing in a field of silver grass that glowed beneath an endless violet sky. The air was warm, filled with drifting particles of light. And ahead of him, Laraya. She stood there trembling, eyes wide with disbelief. "Jacob," she whispered. "You made it." He took a slow step forward, every sense alive with awe. "You're real," he breathed. "You're really here." She ran to him, tears falling like tiny stars. When she touched him, warmth spread through his body, more vivid than any dream. For the first time in 15 years, he could feel her heartbeat, and for a few beautiful seconds, the whole universe stood still. The first thing Jacob noticed was the silence. Not the quiet of Earth. He knew that too well. But a silence that felt alive, like the whole world was holding its breath. Silver grass swayed beneath his feet, glowing faintly in the dim violet light of Veltar's sky. The air shimmered with colors he had never seen, and the scent of something sweet and electric hung like a promise. And then he saw her, Lirea. She ran to him, tears streaming down her glowing face. Her touch burned with warmth, and her voice when she spoke was trembling. "You're here," she whispered. "You actually came." Jacob smiled through the disbelief. "I told you. I wouldn't just dream about you anymore." She pulled him into an embrace, and for a moment everything else faded. 15 years of lonely nights, dreams, and whispered conversations had led to this. He could feel her heartbeat, the rise and fall of her chest, the life that had been waiting for him across the stars. But that moment of joy shattered. A distant sound reached them first, a low hum, like distant thunder. Then lights began to flicker across the horizon. Shapes appeared. Tall, armored figures moving with precision and purpose. Soldiers of light, their bodies crackling with energy, advancing like a storm. "They've detected the breach," Loraya said, fear sharp in her voice. "My people. They don't understand humans. They will think you are dangerous." Jacob stepped in front of her instinctively. "Dangerous? I'm not dangerous. I'm just me." She shook her head. "They won't care. They see the connection, the bridge we created, and it frightens them. They've never seen emotion like yours, and they hate what they cannot control." Jacob's pulse quickened. "Then what do we do?" Loraya's eyes softened with something he had seen in his dreams, but never so intensely. Fear, hope, love, and sorrow all mingled together. "We run. I can take you somewhere safe. But they are fast. Too fast for humans." "Then I'll face them," Jacob said firmly. "I don't care if they're faster, stronger, smarter. I'll stand with you." Her gaze pierced him, almost pleading. "You don't understand, Jacob. You will die if you fight them. You are fragile. Fragile in ways you cannot imagine." He smiled, a small, stubborn curve of his lips. "And yet, I've lived 15 years in dreams where you've already trusted me. I can't leave you." The soldiers were almost upon them. The light of their armor reflected across the silver grass, and a humming weapon charged in one of their hands. Jacob could see the energy pulsing, ready to tear him apart if they moved too fast. "Stop," he shouted, holding his arms wide. "You don't understand. I'm not your enemy." One of the soldiers paused, scanning him with piercing violet eyes. Loraya's hand burned in his as she held him tightly. "Jacob, you're brave," she whispered, "but not invincible." He glanced at her, heart hammering. "Then we run together. Or we fall together. I won't abandon you." The soldier raised a weapon, the hum growing louder, and Jacob's stomach twisted. Loraya's glow flared, a blinding white that lit the field like a star exploding. She pushed him back with energy he had never felt before, raw and beautiful and terrifying. "You think humans are weak," she said, voice breaking through the hum. "But look at you. Look at what your heart can do." Jacob's chest swelled as adrenaline coursed through him. She reached her hand to his forehead, transferring warmth and energy, something he could feel coursing through every vein, every fiber of his being. For a moment he could see through her eyes, feel through her heart, understand the love and fear and courage that had sustained her all these years. The soldiers faltered, shielding their eyes from the burst of energy. The world tilted. Jacob felt like he was no longer just a human, just a fragile being from Earth. He was part of something greater, a bridge of connection, emotion, and willpower that even these alien beings could not fully comprehend. But it was not over. "We have to move," Loraya whispered urgently. "They will not give up. They will chase us across every sky." Jacob nodded. "Then let them chase. I'm not leaving your side." Her hands gripped his tightly, her silver eyes full of tears and hope. "You humans, you never stop surprising me." And together, they ran through glowing fields beneath alien skies, toward an uncertain path where danger, hope, and the impossible awaited. For 15 years he had dreamed of her. And now, awake facing impossible odds, he realized something deeper than fear. Humans might be fragile, but humans never gave up. And sometimes that was enough to change the universe. The silver grass beneath Jacob's feet shimmered under the violet sky, but there was no time to admire it. The soldiers of light had recovered from Loraya's blast, and now they were closing in fast. "They're faster than I imagined," Jacob panted, gripping Loraya's hand. Her touch burned, not painfully, but with energy that made his blood hum in his veins. "They've never seen a human fight like this," Loraya whispered, pulling him toward a ridge overlooking a river of liquid light. "But human bravery can only last so long. You're not made for this world." Jacob shook his head. "I don't care. I've waited 15 years for you. I'm not leaving now. Not ever." Her eyes softened, filled with tears and a kind of wonder that made his heart ache. "Jacob, you do not understand what's coming. My people, they cannot forgive what I have done, bringing a human here, bridging our worlds. They see it as treason." The ground trembled. Light flashed across the ridge as the soldiers advanced, weapons humming like angry stars. Loraya's glow flared higher, wrapping around Jacob like a shield. "You always surprise me, human," she whispered. "Even now you face impossible odds and smile." "You are extraordinary." Jacob swallowed hard. "I don't feel extraordinary. I feel terrified." But I also feel alive. Because I'm with you. Her hand pressed to his chest. For a moment, he could feel her heartbeat through the barrier of energy. It was wild and rapid and somehow connected to his own. The link they had forged through dreams now pulsed between them like a living thing. Then the soldiers opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced toward them, tearing through the silver grass. Jacob instinctively threw himself over Lyraya, feeling heat scorch the air around them. Lyraya roared, a sound that vibrated through his bones. The world seemed to fracture into streaks of light and shadow, and Jacob's vision blurred. "You can't hold them forever," he shouted. "I know," she cried. "But I will try. For you." The bond between them surged. Jacob felt it, an overwhelming warmth, the energy of someone who had lived for him every night for 15 years, condensed into a force he could almost touch. It made him stronger, not in muscle or bone, but in spirit. Every fear, every doubt, every lonely night he had endured was fueling him now. "Then fight with me," Lyraya shouted. Jacob nodded, heart hammering. He could feel her strength flowing into him, and suddenly, the fear that had gripped him for hours melted away. He raised his hands, and for a brief, miraculous instant, he felt the energy around them bend. Light bending to will, to courage, to the impossible. The soldiers faltered. They had never encountered humans like this. Not hearts that refused to break, not spirits that refused to surrender. And in that moment, Jacob understood something his dreams had always hinted at. Humans were fragile, yes. But when humans fought for love, for hope, for something bigger than themselves, they became unstoppable. One soldier stepped forward, weapon raised. "Cease this connection. The human must be removed. I'm not going anywhere," Jacob shouted. Lyraya pressed her forehead to his. "Then we do this together, all the way." The light around them exploded, a wave that knocked soldiers off their feet, scattering them across the silver plains. Jacob's body trembled under the strain, but he did not falter. 15 years of dreams, of waiting, of longing had led to this moment, and he would not give up now. The energy pulsed between them, fierce and beautiful, and Jacob realized something that made his chest ache. This was not just about survival. This was about proving that humanity, their hearts, their courage, their unyielding spirit, could touch even the stars. The soldiers began to regroup, their weapons flickering. Lyraya gasped, exhaustion etching her glowing features. "Jacob, if this continues, it could kill me." "Or you," he shook his head. "Then we accept it. I've lived 15 years dreaming of you. I'd rather die here than wake without you." Her lips brushed his ear, soft as starlight. "You humans, you always run toward the fire. I don't know how you do it, but I love you for it." Jacob smiled, tears streaming down his face. "Then let's burn together, Lyraya. Let's show them what humans can do." For a heartbeat, the universe seemed to pause. Two souls, one human and one alien, standing together against impossible odds. The energy around them surged, light folding in on itself, and for the first time Jacob understood something deep and undeniable. Humanity wasn't weak. Humanity was relentless. Humanity fought for love, for connection, for hope, and in the face of the unknown, that made them unstoppable. And for 15 years, Lyraya had been waiting for a human exactly like him. The ground shook beneath them as the soldiers regrouped, their weapons humming louder than thunder. Jacob and Lyraya stood together on the glowing ridge, hearts pounding, breaths ragged, energy flowing between them like fire and starlight. Jacob could feel it, the strain. Every pulse of Lyraya's light, every surge of connection, made his muscles tremble. His hands shook from the energy that was too much for a human body to hold, and yet he refused to step back. 15 years of longing, of dreams and whispered words had led to this moment. He would not falter now. "They won't stop," Lyraya whispered, her voice trembling. Her glow flickered, and for a moment Jacob saw fear in her eyes, a fear she had never shown in his dreams. "Jacob, if this continues, it could destroy us both." He shook his head, determination hardening his voice. "Then we face it together. I don't care what it costs. I've waited 15 years to be with you. I won't let it end here." Her hands gripped his, energy surging into him in waves that made his vision blur. He could feel her heartbeat, wild and bright, intertwined with his own. For a fleeting second, they were no longer two beings. They were one force, a human and an alien, connected across space, time, and dream. Then came the blast. A beam of light, sharp and white, shot toward them. Jacob threw himself over Lyria instinctively, feeling heat and energy strike his body. Pain lanced through him sharp and sudden, and he cried out, but he did not let go. "Jacob!" Lyria screamed, her own body flaring with light as she pushed against the energy. "Hold on, don't let go!" "I won't," he shouted, tears streaming down his face. "I promised I wouldn't." The world fractured into streaks of violet and silver. Jacob's body felt like it was splitting apart, like every atom in his body was being torn in two. But through the chaos he felt Lyria, her touch, her warmth, her life force feeding into him, keeping him together, keeping him alive. "You humans," she whispered into his mind, voice trembling with fury and love. "You always run toward the fire. Even now when death surrounds you, you don't step back." I can't," he gasped. "Not without you." Her light intensified, blinding and beautiful, pushing back against the advancing soldiers. "Then we do this together," she said. "For 15 years you have been mine every night, and now awake, you will be mine too." Jacob's chest ached as energy poured through him, overwhelming every nerve, every muscle. He felt fear, pain, and joy all at once. He felt the memory of every lonely night, every whispered word, every dream where she had been waiting for him. And suddenly he understood the truth. Love, connection, courage, these were not weaknesses. These were weapons that could bend the impossible. The soldiers faltered, their weapons flickering under the force of the human heart, amplified by alien energy. Jacob felt a surge of hope, almost unbearable in its intensity. They might survive this. They might escape, but the strain was too much. Lyria's glow wavered, her face etched with exhaustion. "Jacob, I cannot hold it much longer. The connection, if it breaks—" "I know," he whispered, pressing his forehead to hers. "Then we hold it together. Even if it kills us, even if the universe itself breaks around us, we survive in each other." Her lips brushed his, a soft kiss filled with fire and light. "You've never given up. I don't know if I could ever leave you." "I won't let you go," he said. "Not now. Not ever." Then the energy between them exploded outward, a wave of light that swept across the ridge. Soldiers were thrown back, mountains of silver grass uprooted. The violet sky streaked with luminous fire. Jacob felt himself lifted, weightless, bound to Lyria by a bond that nothing could sever. For a moment all was still. They were alive. They were together. But Jacob knew deep in his heart the danger was not gone. The universe had noticed their defiance. The laws of Velthar, the will of her people, they would not ignore what had happened, and yet he smiled through tears, looking into her silver eyes. For 15 years she had lived in his dreams, and now, awake, he realized the greatest strength of humanity was not muscle or firepower. It was the courage to fight for love, for hope, for connection, even against impossible odds. "I'm not afraid," he whispered. "Not with you." Her hand pressed to his cheek, warmth radiating into his soul. "And you never will be. That is why humans are extraordinary." The sun of Velthar rose slowly, bathing them in light. Jacob held her close, knowing that whatever came next, whatever storms, whatever dangers, they would face it together. 15 years of dreams had prepared him for this. 15 years of waiting had made him unbreakable, and for the first time he truly believed that humans could survive anything, even the impossible. Jacob woke to silence. At first he thought it was another dream. The hum of the machines, the faint scent of ozone, the cold metal beneath him, it all suggested he was back in the research facility on Earth. But when he blinked, it felt different. Quieter, calmer. He was lying on a soft bed, the sunlight spilling across the floor. Machines beeped softly around him, monitors flashing normal readings. Scientists whispered in the background, relieved murmurs floating through the room. They said the experiment had failed, that the alien connection was gone. Jacob didn't move. He just stared at the ceiling, trying to catch the memory of her, the glow, the silver hair, the voice that had haunted him for 15 years. A part of him ached, longing to feel her hand on his cheek, to see her smile one more time. And then as he closed his eyes, it happened. A soft whisper brushed his mind, familiar and warm. "Calm down, human. For 15 years you've been mine every night. You think I'd stop now?" His chest tightened. Tears sprang to his eyes. It was her, Lyria, still there, still alive somewhere across the stars. The dream had not ended. The connection had not truly been broken. Jacob's heart swelled with emotion, love, relief, awe, and a fierce sense of hope. 15 years of dreams, of endless nights, of whispered conversations and imagined touches had led to this, and even now awake, he felt her presence more vividly than anything on earth. He rose from the bed, sunlight warming his face, and walked to the window. The city below was gray and quiet, but he no longer felt the emptiness he had known for so long. Somewhere beyond the stars, Lariah waited, watching, thinking of him. Jacob smiled through the tears. He had been her dream for 15 years. She had been his. And now, even if their worlds remained apart, their hearts were still joined. That bond, that bridge, could not be broken by distance, by time, or by fear. He thought of all the nights he had spent alone, the lonely hours of work, the broken streets of Earth he had walked in silence. And he realized something that made his chest ache with pride. Humans were fragile. Yes, but we were also unstoppable when we dared to hope, when we dared to love, when we refused to give up even against impossible odds. Jacob leaned against the window, eyes closed, and whispered into the empty room, "I'll find you, Lariah. No matter what. I promise." And in that moment he felt her closer than ever. The whisper came again, faint, like starlight brushing against his mind. "I'll be waiting. Always." He laughed softly, a sound filled with relief and wonder. For 15 years she had been his every night, and now, whether in dreams or in reality, she was his. Jacob stepped back from the window and looked around the room. The machines, the scientists, the sterile walls. None of it mattered anymore. The universe had tested him, had pulled him through fear, danger, and impossibility. And he had survived. Not just survived, but risen. 15 years of waiting had forged something stronger than life itself. The courage to fight, the heart to love, and the hope to reach across the stars. The world outside might be gray. The city might be broken. But Jacob felt a fire within him that no one could extinguish. The human spirit had carried him farther than he had ever imagined, and he knew, without doubt, that it could carry him even farther still. He sat on the edge of the bed, letting the sunlight wash over him, and smiled. 15 years of dreams, 15 years of longing, had not been wasted. Every lonely night, every whispered word, every tear shed in the darkness had led to this moment of clarity, of love, and of unbreakable connection. And for the first time, Jacob felt truly, completely alive. Because somewhere, across the vast reaches of the universe, Lariah was waiting. And he knew in his heart that no distance, no danger, no force could ever change what they shared. For 15 years she had been his every night. And now, awake or asleep, she always would be. Jacob closed his eyes again, feeling her whisper through the stars. And finally, he allowed himself to hope, truly, fully, completely. The human heart. Fragile, yes, but unstoppable.